The second of our 15 greatest rounds took place during the Roaring Twenties. It was known as the Jazz Age, a time of self-indulgence. The Charleston was king, and flappers were the rage. Herbert Hoover was becoming a political force, and Charles Lindbergh made aviation history, completing the first solo transatlantic flight from New York to Paris. Babe Ruth rewrote the record book. And on October 29, 1929, a day to be forever known as Black Tuesday, the stock market crashed as billions were lost, sending America into the Great Depression of the 1930s. That's the setting for the second meeting between the heavyweight champion, Gene Tunney, and the former champ, Jack Dempsey. And the seventh round was a classic. It was September of 1927, Soldier Field in Chicago, as Tunney and Dempsey met for the second time. Tunney, incidentally, the recipient of boxing's first ever $1 million purse.
And at this time, Tunney was ahead on points due to his superior boxing ability. It was, in effect, a replay of their first fight, and Dempsey sensed that he needed a knockout if he were to regain his title.
Now Dempsey stalking, as he always did, and then exploded and puts Tunney down. Dempsey, however, stood over Tunney, waiting for Tunney to get up in order to get right back on him. However, Dempsey, fighting strictly from instinct, failed to remember that a new rule was in effect. The fighter scoring the knockdown must move to a neutral corner before the count starts. So Tunney was given the famous long count. He did recover his senses in that extra time given him, and then was able to hang on in the seventh round.
And the way he hung on was with his superior boxing skills. Look at this, hands down, fast feet, great lateral movement, just moving around the ring. Dempsey, his hands cocked, he wants to explode, but he can't. He can't get close enough before Gene Tunney circles back out of range.
Now, Ferdy, although this was a title fight, it was scheduled for only 10 rounds rather than the usual 15, which certainly helped Tunney in surviving.
It helped him in surviving, but can you notice the similarity in his style and someone else's? Well, it's Muhammad Ali. That's Muhammad Ali's style. Hands down, fast feet, great lateral movement, tying up Dempsey as soon as he comes in. Dempsey trying all he can to set him up for one punch, but before he can set him up, there he is on a bicycle. Tunney is away, and the distance builds between them.
And as it became apparent that Tunney would hang on, the long count of referee Dave Barry now becomes a major issue.
Well, you can imagine the indignation of the sports fans throughout the country at this long count, but notwithstanding the public outrage, when the 10th round was over, Gene Tunney was still the heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, apparently Jack Dempsey had forgotten that a new rule was in effect, that the fighter who knocks the opponent down must go into the neutral corner, and that certainly cost him.
Yes, it did cost him. It cost him plenty, because he thought that the same rules applied when he was fighting the other heavyweight, Willard. And so, but Tunney was a fox, and Tunney got up and he ran, and he moved around, and he pulled Dempsey out of position so many times until Dempsey was beginning to tire. See, and then later on, Tunney took over.
How long did he stay down by your count?
What I read in the paper was about 15 seconds. But along that line, what is interesting to me is that when Tunney fought Dempsey and won the title from him in 1926, it was a 10-round bout. This also in Chicago was a 10-round bout. Now the champion could decide how many rounds the bout should be. And it was Dempsey who picked the 10-round route, which is very, very unusual for a championship fight. However, you must remember that Dempsey had not fought since he fought Firpo in 1923. 3 years had elapsed, and I think he thought he couldn't go more than 10 rounds.
How could you have caught him? How would you have told Dempsey to catch? I mean, it didn't seem like he just walked after him.
Well, first of all, I would have choked the referee. That was a 40 count. Forget about it. That guy got knocked out. I don't care if it went back to the corner, up to the corner, sideways. The man got counted out. You know, and I was cracking up because the guy was a oneer and a twoer and a threer. My God, the guy, you know, must have had arthritic elbow.
Okay, one-word answer. Let's go around the panel. Who was the better fighter, Dempsey or Tunney? Archie?
Jack Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Jack Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Well, a unanimous decision for Jack Dempsey. Coming up next, a fight of international significance.